As we move into the new year, I have felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for so much in both my personal and professional life, including the opportunity to support the OWL organization as president. What has impressed me in learning about OWL on a more day-to-day level is the support of our organization and what it receives from our partner sponsors, not only financially, but from a giving of their time and resources. Inside the OWL studio, we'll provide an opportunity each month for a partner sponsor to highlight their organization's specific activities and initiatives around diversity, inclusion, and belonging. The format of the program will be similar to a program called Inside the Actor Studio with James Lipton. At the end of each sponsor interview, the same set of 4 questions will be asked. We hope that this will not only be educational for our members, but also provide a few minutes for you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. I am thrilled to announce our first Inside the OWL studio will feature Alcon. Alcon has supported OWL for several years as a partner sponsor and a premier sponsor at our signature events. Individuals from Alcon have also served on various OWL committees, served on our board of directors, and provided mentorship for our fellows program. Without further ado, I would like to introduce my very first interviewee, Kristen Brotherson, Alcon's Vice President, U.S. Surgical Marketing, and also our 2020 OWL Rising Star Award winner. Hello, Kristen, and welcome to Inside the OWL Studio.
Hi, Abby. It is my absolute pleasure and privilege to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we are delighted. And so we're just going to jump right into things today. Kristen, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of background on you and how you kind of ended up in this wonderful and unique ophthalmic space.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I feel very fortunate to be in this specialty that I love so much. I actually found out about an opportunity at Alcon via a friend of mine, Amanda Cardwell, who is still in the ophthalmic space today. You know, we had been old friends. We'd worked together at a previous company in a previous specialty. And so I took the role at Alcon in sales years ago and just got bit by the bug immediately. What I loved about our specialty was this openness and willingness. The surgeons and practices that I worked with, everybody was looking for ways to improve their processes, their outcomes, their offerings to their patients. And you know, with the primary focus at the time in refractive surgery and then cataract refractive surgery, I'd come from a pain management background where, you know, the patients don't always get better. And I really loved that, you know, in the cataract area, we saw patients improve dramatically after their procedure. And that was just very motivating to me. And here we are, 16 years later.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in ophthalmology can definitely attest to once you're in ophthalmology or in this space, it's very hard to leave. Well, getting into, you know, Alcon around diversity, inclusion, and belonging. We really want to give you the opportunity to highlight what your organization is doing along those lines. And even personally, Kristen, I know you're involved in several things in this space. So just go ahead and let us know what's going on at Alcon.
Sure. Well, I'll touch on it from a couple of different facets because I will say, Abby, this is a journey that we continue to go on. We still have a long way to go, but continue to make, you know, marked changes and improvements and emphasis in this area. And by this area, I mean, I really love that you call out diversity and inclusion, but you also said belonging, which I think is such a critical element to inclusion that I think sometimes gets lost in the conversation. So a few things that we're focused on. We recently brought in a woman by the name of Kristen Wyrick, and Kristen is our VP of Global Talent Acquisition as well as our Chief Diversity Officer. So making sure that we have somebody at the highest levels of the organization really focused on ensuring that we're not just making a cultural shift, but that we recognize that there are tangible activities and actions that need to take place to make sure that we're really optimizing our efforts in this particular area. So I'll start with that, but I think, you know, outside of just what we do at the corporate level from a leadership perspective, so I think what's really important to note is aside from corporate initiatives, we've got good collaboration with both leadership and our associates. And I think this is really important for any organization that is really taking seriously their journey to improve in the area of diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And so what that means is we really doubled down on our employee resource groups. So really empowering our associates to create key parts of the organization, whether it's our ACE organization for African ancestry, our leads team, our working parents employee resource group, Women Innovating Now, or our Open ERG. Really associate-led groups that are sponsored by someone on our executive leadership team that give constant loop of feedback and impulse checks on where we need to be and where our organization is heading. I think empowering those groups and giving them a voice really helps to best organize and get your finger on the pulse of what's going on within the organization. I think the other piece that's really important to note is under the leadership of Sergio Duplan, our president of North America, we're actually taking some specific initiatives to the North American commercial organization specifically. Sergio has asked for support from our associates to really establish format around 3 very distinct pillars in this diversity and inclusion space. The first one is vision. So what is it exactly that we want to stand for? Where do we want to go, and how are we going to get there? The other pillar is awareness and education. So recognizing that this is a journey and people are at different places on that journey. How can we really lean in to make sure that we're providing the right resources for everyone, regardless of where they are? And then finally, and I think this one is really critical to our long-term success, recruitment, development, and succession planning. Just making sure that we're increasing diversity and inclusion by ensuring equitable and fair and consistent hiring opportunities, but also looking within to find the right talent and making sure that we're giving them opportunities to succeed and grow within their careers. And I think, again, that balance between associate-led activity and feedback, but also leadership, support, and getting behind those efforts, I don't think you can really drive real initiatives in a company of this size unless you have both working together. So I'm really excited about the efforts that we're making. I will add one other point that I think is really critical, and that is, at the end of the day, it's what you see and feel every day when you come to work that really stands out in terms of where we're going. So one of the things that we do here at Alcon is we have a quarterly pulse check, something that goes to every associate within the entire company. It's a survey that gives us a pulse on how we're doing across a number of fronts. And as leaders in the company, we listen to the results, and we are all asked to take action against 1 or 2 small things that we can change. I'm very excited that we have a number of questions focused specifically on diversity and, as you mentioned, belonging and inclusion, and can you be yourself at work, and how do we optimize that so that we can continue to hear from our associates and make sure that we're evolving the culture as necessary to make this, continue to make this a great place to work. And one thing I do want to say, just a little shout out that I'm super proud of. So within these employee resource groups, we've done some really neat things. And I think a couple of key call outs for me. In 2020, Alcon recognized and celebrated Juneteenth for the first time as an organization. It was really amazing. Our ACE organization put on a great keynote speaking event. We had Senator Buckner Webb from Idaho come and speak to us about her challenges and really how we should all be thinking about diversity and inclusion, her experiences. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. This is now the second year in a row, 2020 being the second year in a row, that our Open ERG has partnered with our senior leaders to make sure that we had the Pride flag flying over our Alcon campus the entire week of Pride Week. And I got to tell you, as an associate pulling into campus and seeing that, it makes me feel really proud about where I work. And they just announced our ACRG has Dr. Bernice King, Dr. Martin Luther King's daughter, speaking to our organization to kick off Black History Month on February 3rd. So a lot of really great stuff going on.
That is just amazing, Kristen. I have goosebumps, and I'm not even kidding. I'm just so impressed, and I hope our members and other industry partners that are listening to this today will, Alcon is such a leader, and I think some of these initiatives, can be great benchmarks for other people. And I love when you said tangibility. I do think so much of this is the discipline and the accountability that an organization has and gives to this diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And I'm with you. I think belonging is a key here that's sometimes lost in the conversation. So I'm really happy that you agree with that. So I'm going to move on to these 4 fantastic Inside the Al Studio questions for you. What is your favorite word in ophthalmology?
Okay, so my mind's kind of racing on this one. I will say maybe my favorite and least favorite right now because I'm starting to experience. I'd say presbyopia, and only because it's something that I've been focused on for the majority of my 16 years within ophthalmology. And I do love that there is something out there that affects the masses that we have really amazing solutions for. Especially appreciate that now as I'm starting to need a little more light and holding things further and further away. So we'll say it's a word I hate to love.
I'm with you on that one 100%. What professional role in ophthalmology, other than the one you have, would you like to attempt and why?
So that one's interesting, and thank you for prefacing other than the one you have. That was totally going to be my punt. Um, you know, Look, I have the distinct pleasure of working with cataract refractive surgeons routinely, and I think the work that they do is so amazing because they are truly in a job where you are looking to recreate a level of routine procedure, but in a specialty where the pace of innovation is just at a pace that's unlike any other in medicine. And so I think that'd be a really interesting thing to try my hand at had I made some different choices in school years ago.
For sure, for sure. And on the flip side of that, what professional role in ophthalmology would you not like to attempt?
Oh my goodness, I knew you were going to ask me this. So I will say what I do love about our specialty, I was trying to rack my brain on like what is a role that doesn't directly have impact to the patient because I do love seeing kind of the fruits of my labor have like a tangible impact on people. But the reality, it was kind of hard to figure that out, right? It seems like no matter what you do, there's some downstream implication. So the best answer I can give to you is I'm so glad I don't work in billing and coding. Like that's a lot of change and specific effort pretty routinely that, sorry if you do that. We're so grateful for the work that you do, but just not my thing.
I think patience is a virtue in that one.
Oh my God.
Right? If you could do any one thing to contribute to diverse leadership in ophthalmology, what would that be?
Man, and this is a big one, but I think it's good to have big goals. Look, I think it really is incumbent upon all of us to look at representation. I listened to a recent podcast. It was Dr. Fountain and Dr. Herndon and Dr. Williams, and they were talking about the data that demonstrates the importance of representation when it comes to patient adherence. And so I'm just starting to learn a little bit more about this and starting to open my eyes in terms of how I can leverage, my time in ophthalmology and my position at Alcon to make sure that we are really increasing efforts to make sure that our pool of ophthalmologists represent the patients that they treat, making sure that we're talking to people at the right point in time when they're choosing their specialty and encouraging them to look at our specialty so that we have representation across race and gender and I think that's important. And again, something that I really hope when I look back on my career at some point, I can say I really made a difference to affect that.
And I bet you will, Kristen, 100%. So here is the fun question, the one that you might not be aware of.
Okay.
If you were an emoji, what would you be?
Seriously, if you were an emoji, what would you be? Oh my gosh, probably the dancing girl. I know that doesn't sound very deep, but most of you all that go to industry meetings with me know that like the one way I burn off stress from my very stressful job and my two very small children is I love to hit a dance floor. So red dress and arms in the air, dancing emoji
Awesome. That's
or thumbs
wonderful.
up.
There you go. Oh, Kristen, thank you so much for your time today. This has been lovely and a lot of fun. I hope it has been for you too. And thank you again to Alcon. Your contribution to the AL organization and advancing diversity and leadership is amazing. We can't do it without you, and we just are so looking forward to 2021, some hope, and some new programs that will be rolling out as we move through the year. So
Well,
thank you,
ditto,
Kristen.
Abby. Ditto. We're grateful for you and all of the awesome work that OWL does in advancing diversity and leadership within our specialty. Thank you.
Thank you.